Hi, my name is Seth, and I would like to discuss a little about organizational culture with you today. I'd like to begin with a little about the history of organizational culture. This will include its first introduction as well as its rise in popularity. I will continue with the effects organizational culture has on an organization and ways to improve it. I would then like to discuss how organizational culture at Southwest Airlines has helped the company maintain its status as one of the top airlines and persevere through hard times. The term organizational culture was first introduced by Dr. Elliot Jaques in 1951 in his book, The Changing Culture of a Factory. This was a 3-year report that was conducted by a team from the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations on a metal company. The goal of this study was to study the psychological and social forces affecting the group life, morals, and productivity of a single industrial community, to develop more effective ways of resolving the social stresses and to facilitate agreed and desired social changes. This idea that all organizations contain a culture that can be structured to benefit the organization did not become popular until the late 80s and early 90s. It was not until this period that the term organizational culture became widely known in the business world. As this became a more research part of organizations, it was found that while each organization often has differing cultures, they also contain subcultures that may coexist or conflict with the primary culture within. Dr. Jaques established a list of organizational values that are considered the credo of the organizational culture. They are as follows: fair and just treatment for everyone, including fair pay upon equitable pay differentials for a level of work and merit recognition related to personal effectiveness appraisal. Leadership interaction between managers and subordinates, including shared content, personal effectiveness appraisals, feedback and recognition, and coaching. Clear articulation of accountability and authority to engender trust and confidence in all working relationships. Articulation of long-term organizational vision through direct communication from the top. Opportunities for everyone, individually or through representatives, to participate in the policy development. Work for everyone at a level consistent with their level of potential capability, values, and interests. Opportunity for everyone to progress as his or her potential capability matures within the opportunities available. There are many benefits to having a well-structured organizational culture. These include high morale among employees, strong team cohesiveness, improved employee performance, and strong alignment to achieve organizational goals. There's not been a lot of research to support the connection between strong organizational culture and improved organizational performance. There is little doubt among researchers that it does exist, though. Researchers at the University of Southern Florida studied the link between culture and performance in 95 franchise automobile dealerships over 6 years. This study looked at culture-performance relationships to determine if there is a link between culture and performance. The team summarized culture causes performance, not vice versa. Edgar Schein, who was a former professor at the MIT Sloan School of Management, was a major voice in the research of organizational culture. When developing as well as maintaining organizational culture, Schein modeled 3 distinct levels that must be examined. They're based on functionalistic models from previous cultural theorists. The levels are artifacts, espoused values, and assumptions. Artifacts are the visible elements within the culture and can include the physical environment employees work in, dress code, rules, and processes used in the daily workflow. Espoused values are the values that are adopted and supported by the leadership within the organization. These include goals, philosophies, and strategies the leadership implements. Assumptions are the actual values that the culture represents. These may not always be especially visible to members of the culture, as they may not be truly defined. Using these areas to manage culture within an organization will help leadership develop a roadmap to achieve the end goal of a productive and happy work culture. It should be noted that leadership must identify and understand the culture already present in order to lead effectively. This will also play an important role in making cultural changes and can determine what route is taken to implement the needed changes. Shine states, if the leader is not aware of the culture will lead the leader. When creating culture, there are 5 steps to take to help ensure a successful culture initiative. They are teach it, define it, live it, measure it, and reward it. Teach it is important. This step will apply to everyone from new hires to seasoned employees. In this step, employees are taught what is being looked at in the new culture. Define it primarily pertains to leadership. Everyone must be in full agreement of what is desired from the new culture. Live it is exactly what it sounds like. It's time to be the example for employees to follow. Measure it takes place once employees have embraced the culture. It is important that the success of each culture initiative is measured. Reward it can be complicated, as rewards may not align with some cultural values being created. It is still important, though, as employees need to feel appreciated for performance and leading the way in the new culture. These steps, along with Shine's model, help to give a picture of what processes needed to implement organizational culture in the workplace, as well as maintain it. Let us now discuss the story of Southwest Airlines, the culture that has seen its continued success as one of the major airline companies. The organizational culture at Southwest Airlines is built around the belief that the customer, the employee, and the shareholder come first. The leadership at Southwest focuses on servant leadership and solid customer service over easy profit from layoffs and budget cuts to employee initiatives. Southwest Airlines first got its start in 1971 with 4 airplanes flying out of Dallas, Texas. And things weren't always smooth sailing. In its early days, a lender repossessed one of its planes, leading to the need to cancel a quarter of its scheduled flights. Employees got creative and found that if they were able to reduce the average 45-minute turnaround time between flights to 10 or 15 minutes, they did not need to cancel any of the scheduled flights. Kelly Miller, a marketing manager for Southwest Airlines, stated, "This significantly more efficient turn time set a record in the airline industry. Since then, employees acting as partners to solve difficult business challenges and achieve unheard of levels of productivity has become our tradition and our trademark." Southwest again faced challenges as the Gulf War caused fuel prices to rise. The company reached a point where every time a plane took off, the company lost money. Management again made a tough decision and stuck to the no layoff policy it had in place, and instead top leaders and even many employees voluntarily took pay cuts for the company to stay profitable. Again, the culture Southwest had in place of putting its employees first had paid off, and employees in turn took care of the company. Southwest yet again persevered following the 9/11 tragedy that saw planes grounded and a major decrease in people flying. The top 3 leaders at Southwest took no pay until the end of 2001, and even employees pledged over $1.3 million in payroll deductions to help the company weather the storm. Southwest's top-down servant leadership again helped the company survive and even thrive as competitors went out of business. I do hope this has brought some insight in how organizational culture affects employee satisfaction, as well as how it can increase performance within the organization. I've covered the roots from where organizational culture began and introduced some key figures in the history of organizational culture. We've also talked about the benefits that organizational culture can bring to the workplace, as well as how to implement and maintain the culture. Finally, who can forget the shining example that Southwest Airlines has achieved with their culture, as well as how it's helped them along the way. I wanted to close with a quote from former CEO of Southwest Airlines, James Parker. He wrote, "Our people built a house of bricks, while others had built theirs on straw. 30 years of doing things the right way had given us the strength to do the right thing during the worst crisis in the history of aviation. We should all strive to build our house of bricks and do the right thing for our followers every day." Hopefully you've learned something from this briefing to take with you on your leadership journey. Again, my name is Seth, and this has been my briefing on organizational culture. I definitely hope you have a great day, and I do look forward to hearing from you in the feedback.